Thanks, Paul, for talking to me today about the book. What do you think, with all your experience of how many years is it as a GP?
I'm going to receive a 35-year award in 2 weeks' time. That's in the NHS. 32 years as a GP.
And what do you like best about general practice now at the moment?
This will be a strange answer. So the best thing that's happened to me in the last year or two is the GP collaborative action, where we've actually taken action to make our job a bit more normal and sustainable. And that means my practice had already gone to 15-minute appointments,
Yes.
which is a bit unusual. Most practices are probably operating on 10 or 12. We're a training practice. We went to 15 about a year ago. That gave, in a way, that's a measure of quality of what we can do for our patients, and that then gives job satisfaction. So that's one part of it. But the other big part was the realisation of all the form filling that we'd been asked to do by the rest of the NHS, the whole hospital sector, and especially the community trusts, to some degree the mental health trusts, where they were getting us to fill in increasing pages of forms just to refer any patient.
Yes.
So as you were doing your surgery, you think, oh, this patient really needs A, B or C.
Yes.
And sometimes it was 2 sets of forms, and your heart would sink because you've
Yes.
got a good 5-10 minutes of form filling on. It's somewhere in your 15 minutes, which was going to stretch on and on. We've taken part of the collaborative action is to just do a good history in our own records, which we're typing up. And now we don't fill any of them in, and we send a letter just like we used to do for the first 25 years of me being a GP. This saves me half an hour to an hour every surgery. And it means the secondary care have got to triage and filter and actually read our letters,
Yes.
as opposed to stick them in a computer tick box algorithm,
Yes.
which often sent patients to the wrong place anyway.
So what you like about general practice now is that you've been able to create that more one-to-one feeling with the patient, rather than it all be these paper forms over here.
Yes, and certainly for the patients where they had their journey starts and ends in general practice, and is
Yes.
even just with general practice,
Yes.
that is working really well.
Yeah.
So we're feeling we're offering better quality, better listening, hopefully resolving one, probably 2 problems when they come.
Yes.
And it's in our own interest to be efficient, to stop people skimming around the system multiple times.
Yes.
That bit works really well. What is heart-sinking is realising someone needs an intervention, a hip replacement, a knee replacement, a heart test or whatever,
Yes.
and then referring them routinely, urgently, or even if it's cancer, through 2-week waits. But your heart drops for many of them because the waits now have got beyond what is reasonable.
So when I'm in the book, I'm talking at the end about 77 ways to save and sustain the NHS, and I think you've just covered about 10 of them there.
Yeah.
The lack of sort of cohesion between general practice and secondary care, this huge wait for tests and other services.
I think there's a sense that there's been a loss. There's 2 things. There's potentially a bit of loss of efficiency.
Yes.
And we have got an ageing population
Yes.
who are successes of the NHS because they've been kept alive longer with more complex problems. But all of this needs us to run faster, to stand
Yes.
still.
Yes.
Now, during COVID, contrary to the Daily Mail and whatever, GP practices did not close.
Yes.
Yes, we flipped to telephone for quite a while. We flipped completely back,
Yes.
75% face-to-face.
Yes.
Much easier for me to see people face-to-face.
Yes.
And get to the root problem quicker. And we've always not run at a deficit. We only get the money we get in the contract.
Yes.
My salary is the difference between the income and expenses.
Yes.
There's no carry over, there's
Yes.
no overspend.
Yes.
If they overspend, I just go bust.
Yes.
And that is happening to quite a lot of practices.
Yes, I've heard that.
So you've got general practice there, and we are operating at 15% more
Yes.
than in 2019 before the start of COVID. So we're even more efficient. The rest of the whole health system has gone risk averse, a bit safety conscious, a bit slower. Perhaps they got burnt out. Certainly some specialties did.
Yes.
Some specialties had the biggest holiday they've ever had.
Yes.
Because they couldn't do anything.
Yes.
So what did they do?
Yeah.
But others were ground into the ground. And they're still only operating back at 80, 85%.
Yes.
But demand has gone up, so that's why waiting lists have gone up.
Well,
And that is a big challenge. So really, if you're going to change things, a part of the reason for that is hospital trusts got converted to block contracts.
Yes.
To protect them during COVID, so they could just deal with the emergency.
Yes.
And they're only now just being reverting
Yes.
to cost and volume, item of service
Pay for
type
every
payments,
patient, yeah.
which our system never changed.
Yes.
And when hospital trusts are paid that way,
Yes.
it's amazing how their
Yes.
performance rises
Yes.
because they don't get the money.
So when I'm flicking through this book with like the 77 ways to save our NHS, I put something in here about evolving the workforce, giving them great pathways, making sure we've got enough of them with the right skills, and respecting everyone's roles. Would you agree with that?
Yes, but I would add in with respect responsibility.
Yes.
And GPs, most good GPs take real responsibility for the care of their patients.
Yes.
It's probably the biggest attribute of the partnership model.
Yes.
Is our skin is in the game, our
Yes.
personal reputations are in the game,
Yes.
and we stretch with an elastic ability to
Yes.
the ups and downs of demand, and we take it on the chin,
Yes.
and we do it. I think post-COVID, that responsibility has been lost in some departments.
I mean, I've also got down here, minimise unjustified government interference. Would you agree with that?
Yes, but we can only afford so much.
Yes.
So there's lots of contentious challenge now to NICE on whether they will or won't fund this drug or whatever.
Yes.
The country, we're a wealthy country,
Yes.
but no country in the world can afford everything.
No.
The USA over provides for half its population,
Yes.
and the rest are left to die.
Health inequalities.
Massive health inequalities, and they're the richest country large country in the world.
Yes.
And the UK, the only way we're going to get more efficient is probably through much better prevention, much better constructively giving patients back the responsibility for their own health,
Yes.
which they love to give
Yes.
to us.
Yes.
And our job is to push back. And the third part would be reinvigorating primary care,
Yes.
because that's where for the spend, the
Yes.
value that's where it's way better to spend,
Yes.
because you just get far better management of all the 90% of healthcare that's provided, the contacts in general practice.
And just give me a last thought on the celebrating the achievements of the NHS.
Gosh.
We're proud of them, aren't we?
Most UK British citizens have no idea the sense of security the NHS provides in a pretty high quality, free at the point of access for all emergencies and most care.
Yes.
Now, you go to any other country in the world and that's either got a hybrid model or a pure insurance model.
Yes.
You have the haves and the have-nots.
Yes.
And your insurance is often linked to your job you often may or may not like.
Yes.
You are hamstrung there.
You're stuck with it.
And
yeah.
and I think the other thing about the NHS is you don't get the perversion of the private sector,
Yes.
where you're always wondering, am I having impartiality in my treatment?
Yes.
Am I having what I need
Yes.
rather than what I want,
Yes.
or what some doctor's going to collude with me to do
Yes.
because they're going to get paid for it?
Yeah.
The one thing you don't get in the NHS is over-treatment.
Yes. Yes.
You get hopefully the right level of treatment.
Yes.
And that's what most GPs sign up for.
Yes.
And most GPs would not want the perverse incentives of working privately.
Yes, because they're doing the best for the person.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed, Paul.